Hey everybody, welcome back to Fish Den 365. I'm Den Haring and welcome back to Topwater Tuesday. Tonight we have a good one for you. We're starting off the new year in the right way. You're going to want to watch this one. We're going to be talking about a finesse topwater technique using these type of finesse baits. You're going to want to see this one. Okay, so we're talking about these fluke style baits. This is a Lunker City finesse fish, the small size. And this one here is a Zoom Super Fluke Jr, smaller size. These baits are roughly 3 inches, maybe 3.5, something like that. They're small baits, which is why it's a finesse presentation. You need a spinning rod to throw these when we're throwing these as a topwater. And I'm going to start off by showing you a couple of different ways to rig these. You're going to want to hang in there because near the end of the video I'm going to show you something, a bonus footage about using even a smaller bait that would be normally almost impossible to cast, but I figured out a way to make it possible to cast, so we'll show you that as well. Stay tuned for that one. Okay, so when we're talking topwater with a finesse fish, we'll start with this bait. You know, you want to find, let's say we're throwing it into some cover, or that there's some weeds or cover around, and you're going to need to do this in a way where you have a weedless presentation. So you're going to need one of these extra wide gap style hooks. This is a 2/0 hook here. I like to use a 3/0 hook. It might be a little bit big for the bait, but you're going to need that weight to throw the bait out, and it really doesn't hurt the action at all, and it still looks like a bait fish. So this is a 3/0 Gamakatsu EWG. Let's show you how I would rig this. Just stick it into the nose of the bait, about 1/4 inch, come out through the belly, slide it all the way down and through, turn it through, and I would have my line already tied on here, because what I would want to do is bury that point, not the point, I'm sorry, bury the nose of the hook, the eyelet of the hook, so that it doesn't catch weeds. And then the most important part is to rig this thing as straight as you can. And it's a little hard on a finesse fish because the bait is so darn narrow on the belly. But it can be done, and I'll use my thumb right here, or my finger, to line up where that hook needs to come through so that it lays straight like this. It's very important that it lays straight on the bait. So let me just bring this down here so that I can get this through the right way. Very important to get it through right at the belly of the bait and right out the center of the back. I did a good job there. So that's it. And then, you know, the finesse fish has a little bit of a ridge on each side, so that hook point lays right in there. But if you want to make it more weedless, all you do is you grab the plastic on each side and you push it forward, and then you let the hook point just go into it a little bit. Now you see I'm not hooking my finger anymore when I rub down on that. So it's just barely in there, and you don't want to bury that too much, because when a fish bites on it, you want that to happen. You want the bait to come out, the hook to come out of the bait, so that you can catch the fish. Now remember, this is a spinning rod presentation because it's pretty light. It'd be hard to throw this on a bait caster without adding any other weight. But this is Topwater Tuesday. We want to use this as a topwater, so you throw it with a spinning rod. And in order to get the best action out of the bait and the best hookups, you're going to want to use braid. I like to use 10-pound braid with this setup, and then I'll throw, if it's pretty thick cover, sometimes I'll just go straight braid because I get a better hook set when I pull back with that spinning rod. So if the cover's thick enough, I'll go with straight braid, straight 10-pound test. Make sure I get a better hook set that way. If the cover is sparse, I'll use that 10-pound test braid, and then I will tie a rod length or two of 8-pound test monofilament, just a slightly lighter monofilament line, because that floats. I want to keep this bait up. This is meant to be a topwater presentation. So that's one way to fish it, where you have some cover. And this is one of my, it's one of the baits I used to go to when I would struggle, because being the smaller size, it just catches fish. Sometimes, the fish get a little shy or for whatever reason, and you have to downsize and finesse them, and man, this is a really good way of going about it. This thing catches fish when you do that. Now I'm going to show you another way to rig this if you're not throwing it around cover. I have here one of these little screw lock. You need the small size because we're using a small bait. So pull one of these out. Hopefully you'll be able to see this. This is a little screw lock, one of these little screw lock devices that I'll put a link to this in the description of the video so you can find it and buy it if you want to buy it. And what we're going to do is we're going to just screw this right into the nose of the bait. So hopefully you guys can see this. I will magnify the video here so you can see it. You put the screw lock into the nose of the bait. Just going to put it right in there. It's got a little centering pin, and you stick that pin in there, and then once the pin is centered in the nose of the bait, you just twist this thing right into the nose of the bait. And I'm going to keep putting it in until it's hidden in the bait. I'm going to continue to turn it. Sometimes you need a pliers to grab onto it, but I was able to use my fingers. You can no longer see that little screw lock in there anymore. And then you want to get a hook. So now I'm going to put a little Finesse hook on. This is a drop shot hook. I think this is probably a size 1. You can do 1/0. If you want a bigger hook, if you're going after bigger fish, that's fine too. I like to use a smaller hook. It gives a little more action to the bait. And what you're going to do is you're going to put that hook through the eye of that screw eye. You want to have that eye of the screw eye horizontal with the bait so that the hook goes through, so that the hook goes through like that. Now it's on there. It ain't coming off. It's not going to pull out. And now you have something that you can throw out that gives you even more action. You throw this out there with your spinning rod, and you just jerk it along, and it stays on the surface. And because you have more bait and less hook in the bait, this has more lively action as you're twitching it along on the surface. This is a great way to catch fish. If you have open water and you have fish that are up top or eating anything near the surface, this thing is killer. It also works really well on rivers. I've caught so many smallmouths on the Delaware on this setup. It's just ridiculous. So that's the second way to fish it. And you can fish the finesse fish the same way. The one thing about the Zoom Super Fluke Jr. is that because it has this belly in it, it's a little heavier than the finesse fish. And so I find it's a little easier to cast. But the finesse fish has this perfect fish shape to it as well. So I like both of them. I try different things. I fish both of them, I'd say, about equally, just depending on where I'm throwing and what I think the fish are doing on any particular day. So here you have one that's weedless. Here you've got one with the open hook. Both are great to throw out there and work along the surface. Small finesse type of bait, gives you great action. The other nice thing you can do with this is you can, either both of these baits, just work it along and almost skip it along the surface like it's a bait fish trying to get away from a predator. And then you skip it along for maybe 5, 6, 7, 8 feet and just stop it, kill it. And it'll just slowly sink down like it's hurt or something's wrong with it. And oftentimes that's when they'll slam it off. The other thing is sometimes they just get so excited when they see it on the surface they just blow up all over it. But every now and then they like that killing approach too. So you can try a couple of different retrieves with these things, and and get the benefit of catching them in different ways. The other nice thing about the belly on the Zoom bait is it hides a little bit of this hook a little bit better than on the finesse fish. But I've never felt that this hook is scaring anything away. This thing looks so natural in the water. When a fish sees this, it sees the bait and it's going after it. One thing I do sometimes though is sometimes I'll paint some red gills on the bait. I just take a marker, a red Sharpie, and I'll paint red on the gills, and maybe I'll put 2 black dots for eyes, and maybe if I'm trying to make it look like a shad or an alewife, I'll put a big black dot on the body, just to make it look a little bit more like whatever the fish are feeding on. The other thing you can do is you can take this is called alewife, I believe, this color, at least in the finesse fish. They have one that's called Arkansas Shiner. It's green and silver sides. You can use orange markers and some green markers to make it look like a little perch when they're feeding on little perch. All those things just add, sometimes it's more of a confidence thing, gives you more confidence in the bait, but sometimes it matters. So that's the Zoom Super Fluke Jr., the little finesse fish. Now I want to show you the bonus thing. So the finesse fish, right? The Lunker City finesse fish, they got these real tiny ones. Look at the difference in the size here. But how would you cast this little thing? Let's say you want to throw this out for a topwater bite. Boy, it would be difficult to cast. And why would you throw something this small? Well, I'll tell you, sometimes, and this has happened, and I have friends in fishing who have noticed this, sometimes the fish, especially smallmouths, will start keying in on really small bait when the bait is really small. This happens in several of the lakes in my area, Beltsville being one of them. Alan Carl, if you're watching, you're going to want to see this because I think I have a solution that may help you catch more fish next time. So how do you catch those fish? You use little poppers, you use the little topwater lures. Well, if you found a way to cast this thing out there, oh my gosh, I think it would kill them. So I found a way, and that is I took a nail weight. This was just the other night. I haven't fished this yet, but I can't wait to try it. I took a nail weight, and I just very, very carefully, and this is the nail weight, and I'll send a link to this too. This is, you can get these things at Tackle Warehouse. It's just a piece of lead that adds weight. And I just threaded it right down the nose, right into the center of the body. If you look carefully, you can see it inside of there. And then I left about, an eighth of an inch of the nose available. And so I stuffed that weight in there. Now, there's no room for that little screw lock to go in there. There's no room for that screw lock to go in there. It'll hit the weight. But who cares? You could take a little hook. Here's a little red hook. And you could just thread it right through the nose of the bait like that. Now, you might lose the bait and you'll lose the nail, but boy, you might be able to catch the fish that no one else can catch, because this thing now has some weight to it with that nail in it. It might be heavier than these guys. It sure feels heavier just holding it. So now with my spinning rod, I can throw this thing a good distance, work it really fast along the top, kill it and let it go down, work it really fast along the top, kill it and let it go down. I can't wait to try this when the fish are on those little fry. I mean, those little fry. This happens 2 times a year that I can think of. It really happens quite a bit. And that is right after the spawn, where all the fish are spawning, and you have this little fry in the water. And that's usually June when this is happening. And then for whatever reason, it happens a lot in the fall too, like late August, early September. Sometimes they key in on really small bait like this, just at the beginning of, like in September. And so that's another time when this thing can really be a killer. And I imagine, this thing's going to catch everything, right? It'll catch crappie, it'll catch bass, perch, bluegill, because this is a great way to catch fish. Just go out there and you can fish it under the water too, just by jerking it slowly and jerking it like a jerk bait. Sure, that's going to catch a lot of fish. I can't wait to try this thing out, this little guy, because I just think it's going to kill him. And so I'm looking very much forward to doing that. Well, I hope you got something out of this Topwater Tuesday. We're starting it off right for the new year. If you like that video, give me the thumbs up. Don't forget to subscribe to the channel, very important. Trying to grow the channel. Share it with your friends. Alan, I hope you're out there watching this. If you are, comment. Let me know what you think of this thing. I can't wait to try it. I also can't wait to get back out in the water. We'll see how things go in the next few weeks. Hopefully the water won't freeze. We'll see. Right now we're in a warming trend again, so hopefully I'll be able to get out and make a video or two. We'll see. Be safe out there. Hope to see you on the water. And as always, may God bless your fishing endeavors.